Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome back to tonight's second half. Before we jump into tonight's second half, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and my merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. The links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. My merch is displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. Does not cost you a cent. Click that like button. It takes half a second. And please leave a comment. Why? Well, these things really do help. And guys, they definitely matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with tonight's second half, shall we? Alright guys, today's first part of the upload, I had a subscriber who was asked to dispatch a very large, very strong, dangerous creature. Tonight, I bring Tom back for some questions that people had in the past, and people wanted to know certain things that weren't answered in the original upload. So, here is Tom. Tom, how are you?
Doing good today, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for coming back. I appreciate it. It was an honor to have you, and the reception of everybody. You know, it was just a great interview. One of the best that I've had in a very long time, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. That means a lot.
So, I guess you went through the comment section and saw some questions and things, and then some memories came back. I'm going to hand the floor over to you so you can fill in the blanks and share some things that you had left out that might kind of paint a better picture.
Appreciate that. Thank you. One of the things I did notice, that was the, aside from sitting down in the Salt Lake office, that was the first time I had vocalized it to anybody since then. Because of everything, there's nobody else I've ever told about this. So when it was coming out, I was jumping all over the place because I don't know. It was a new experience for me. Just speaking about it is one thing to think about it, and secondly, it was a lot different than I thought, and that's why there was a few times I really kind of got caught up in it, in the emotions of, as it had happened.
Right.
Well. But one of the things I guess I wanted to get out there, my emotion wasn't coming so much from of regret. The regret was I didn't want to be there because of, I'm seeing something that it rattled me to my soul. Because I'm, when I come to the realization of what's happening there, you're looking at something that you've been, I think, deep down programmed to think doesn't exist, and when you think you think monsters and that's the monsters don't exist. But when you find out that they really do, it shakes you on a level that I couldn't describe. So that was where the emotional part was coming out from. And then probably the fact that I got to release a bit of it. And I appreciate everybody's interest in that, because that being able to release it was huge for me, and I'm very thankful for it. And thank you, Jeff.
No problem.
And so I guess let me give you an example. So there's certain things that I guess maybe imprinted in our DNA, imprinted in our psyche that we always think wouldn't really exist. You see awesome special effects on movies and whatnot, and like, man, that looks really real. But in the end, you're like, no, that's not real. That's good special effects. When you see it, it's. I saw it was a short video. I don't know who did it, but it was with a German Shepherd dog, which is, you know, they're not vicious dogs, but they're not generally not a coward type of dog, where they put this really real looking little dinosaur on a trail that when the dog came into view of it on the trail, when the dog saw it, the reaction of that dog was really profound, because that I think in that dog's DNA, he's looking at something that's like that's not in place, you know, and it shook that dog. It was, the terror in that dog was just, it was really moving, you know. It's kind of like if your family dog, you know, you're used to, or anybody's, you know, pet comes walking in with a cat head on it, you know, it would freak you out. Remember that movie Signs with Mel Gibson, Joaquin Phoenix? Yep. Okay, remember when there was a scene there where Joaquin Phoenix was looking on the news and they're like, hey, all these things are, and then when they first showed that alien walk out into that little breezeway, the reaction of Joaquin Phoenix, and he's just seeing this on TV. Yeah. But I don't know if you remember his reaction. Yeah, he jumped up and
yeah, I do. And then he screamed something because they were in like, it was on a Spanish channel, and he screamed something in Spanish or something. Like, I remember that.
And it's so that's I guess where my frame of mind was when this happened, and I probably made some noises too, you know, out of terror. I probably did. I'm sure I did. But anyway, so it was the terror part of it more than the remorseful part of it that I was dealing with there. And you know, not to be, I don't know, I guess not to thumb my nose at other people's interpretation of, you know, remorse or whatever. It's just, I'm just being honest. You know, I don't have anything really against killing these things. But I don't want the choice to be mine. And if it was something that I was ever crossed with again, it would only be just to defend myself or my family. I would, you know, if I had the opportunity to remove myself, you know, say if it was camping or something, time to go. I'm not going to go, I'm going to go kill this thing. Because I don't know what, you know, I had a lot of other people there with me, even though I didn't feel safe about it. But, you know, at the time it was, you know, I guess like going into a fight, you know, your buddies are there to make sure you don't get your butt kicked, even though you know, who knows how that would have worked out, you know? So anyways, get back to, that was where the terror was really coming from. Okay. Was seeing something that I always thought was a monster, and, you know, the monsters aren't real.
It's more of a shock factor.
It was a bit of a shock factor and yes, that's the exact description for sure. Okay. But the other thing was too, when the second one, when I said, and it started to come up, it was, and dealing with in my past, dealing with bears and mountain lions, you know, when something's getting ready to bolt. That thing was getting ready to go somewhere. And that was another reason for the haste of making a decision to do something, because the size of it, for one, I don't know why it didn't just turn around and go through the fence. That fence would have been just like toothpicks. But as it was rising up, you had the police on the other end of the alley that had the lights on it, and then us. It was looking back and forth between one end and us. And every time it looked over at us, I mean, it was looking directly at me, which there's no doubt in my mind that it knew that I was the one that just did what I did. Right. So when it was going to, in my mind, if that thing was going to bolt, I don't know. I didn't know what was coming next. I knew we had the truck there that I don't think if we would have gotten in that truck, that wouldn't have helped us. If that thing was coming to get us, that truck wouldn't have stopped it. So things went into slow motion, and it honestly, when the 2 shots that I took, everything went in my mind, everything went silent. But getting back to that, as it rose up, I did leave out a lot of what I saw on this thing. So I put into the body mass and whatnot, but its head, I described the chin, which was just, to me, bizarre. But anyways, the other part of the face, the face was black, but they did have some lights on it from the other end of the alley. They weren't that great, but I mean, it was something more than just a mag light, But the way the head was, I remember the brow ridge was so heavy and curved down to the sides. Do you remember in The Empire Strikes Back that scene where they're running through the forest chasing those guys on those speeders in the forest, those stormtroopers? Their helmets, this protrusion over the top that I'm like, how the hell can those things have any peripheral vision?
Right.
To me, that's what that brow ridge looked like. The brow ridge looked like it came down over the sides of the eyes a little bit, not the full way, not but to me, that's what it looked like. And then, so from the brow ridge, once that heavy brow ridge there, the forehead just went back. It didn't go up. The forehead looked like it just started sloping back. And then about, about halfway back, that's when the hairline started. So it was like, it had this look of a receding hairline, but it looked normal for it though.
Okay.
It didn't give off the like, oh, this thing's getting old. It looked like it may have always been that way. I don't know, but it looked like that just looked like that's the way it should have been. So, I didn't see any eye shine on that thing, but I could see when that thing turned to look at me, I could see the darkness of where the eyes were, but I couldn't actually discern an eyeball, because when it would turn towards me, then that part of the face would go more into the shaded area because the flashlights or whatever they were using was coming from the other direction. But you could make out that, yeah, that's where his eyes are. And anyways, so let me think what else that was. I definitely wanted to get that more in the description on the face. The way the mouth came down, it didn't stick out, in my opinion, as much as an ape would. Okay. But it was definitely more than a human. It definitely stuck out, but not as much as a human. And then when it coughed and blew blood out after that shot, I could see teeth, but I really didn't notice them. But not notice them, but I didn't focus on those. But they definitely weren't like our teeth. But it's not like I saw some big jagged fangs or anything. It seemed like the teeth were a longer teeth, They wasn't these squared off blocky teeth. I'm pretty sure there was some canines in there that were much bigger than what our little canine teeth are. Right. So, and then, they had, did I just get to the part where they weren't? I didn't think they weren't eaten out of the dumpster.
No, you haven't shared that yet. No.
They ended up there. It's not like I went and shot a couple of hungry animals that were eaten out of the dumpster. I didn't, like I said, I didn't pay much attention to going over the radio, what was going on over the radio. But on our way there, initially these things were somewhere else. And there were people calling in that they'd had problems with these coming into town before, from what I gathered, and eating livestock and pets. So these things had been a problem prior to that. And I remember the game warden when we left, and he had mentioned that there was 2 bears. I'm like, 2 bears? I'd even questioned that, and he did mention it. He said, "Oh, this isn't the first time with these." I do remember that. So, and I don't know if that time, if that's what the police still thought they were. That I don't know. But let's see, this town is at the base of the Uinta Mountains. So it's close to the base of the Uinta Mountains. So it's in a kind of a scrubby pinyon pine cedar tree area, and then not too far from there, then it goes up into the Uintas. So it was pretty close to a big mountain range. And then, of course, on the other side of that mountain range is Vernal and Fort Duchesne, and that's where Skinwalker Ranch is. Not that has anything not that I think that these had anything to do with that, but just to give you a little more, maybe a visualization on the geography.
Right.
Anyways, I guess, what other question that's, God, I thought there was others that I wanted to cover, so I'm probably going to need your help here on asking questions.
Okay, let me go through. I know that one person said that they were a little confused about the mouth and how the face protruded outwards, which you just answered. This is an interesting statement. It's not a comment, but I want to get your feeling on it.
Okay.
Man, he was made the fall guy for this operation to dispatch this creature or creatures. That was sorry as hell. He did them a favor. If he reads my post, "Mister, you did the right thing. I imagine you will have PTSD from this incident. Hang in there." Do you feel like you were the fall guy on that one?
No. I think it was a circumstance that when, on the background of this, that, this is what we did with Game and Fish on, mostly, with the mountain lions. They didn't have the resources to have dogs for doing this, which I get it, because so this is something we did for them and with them. So when the game warden picked me up, I don't think there was that intention at all. This is just the way it turned out to be, because I don't think for a second that he had any inclination of what was actually going on until we got there.
Okay.
So I don't think it was that. I think it was just, this is how it turned out, and it wasn't, it wasn't originally intended to be that way, even though it's kind of the way it came out. I got to say, that other agency, they definitely did say, hold off. So I'll give them that. But it just, when, the way those acted initially, when the game warden had put the spotlight on it and the thing just went crazy and then immediately shut the spotlight off. I think he shut that spotlight off because it scared the hell out of him. So I think at that point, that's when they're like, no, we got to take him out. That's my opinion.
Right.
Had those things just been docile like that, we probably could have waited out and let, the other authorities take care of it. But I think, with that violent of an eruption, I mean, when it smashed that, so it was rocking that dumpster around when it had its hand on the dumpster when he first shined that light on it. And I think that dumpster was already taking damage from that. But then when I shot the first one and then I saw the dumpster come up and smash back down on the ground, then it was just like, it was smashing that dumpster down kind of like you would smash a beer can. I mean, not completely flat, of course, but it was, I definitely saw that it smashed the bottom of that dumpster down, the bottom corner that I could see.
Right, yeah. So it was definitely acting violent prior to you guys showing up. And yeah, that makes sense, and I kind of did, after hearing it, I was like, wow, I even felt like you took the blame and the fall and everything. But, at first they didn't know what the heck you were, or maybe they did and they just didn't let you know, and they said, hey, there's a freaking bear, don't bring your 22.
Yeah. So. And I think the other municipality there was, when they called, they probably, I'm sure they knew at that point that this is something more than a bear, but I think their protocol was to call Game and Fish. So, but where that was located, their local game warden was probably a lot farther away. And I don't know if their local game warden was probably, may have been clear over the mountain in Vernal. I don't know. So it was closer to call us, or to call this game warden.
Right. Well, that kind of touches on this one, but I just want to kind of, this story is incredibly disheartening. Why kill these creatures? They were feeding, trying to survive by finding food. They hadn't broke into someone's house. It was a dumpster. Why not tranquilize them, relocate them? Something other than murder. Hell, I would bet they had shown spotlights, played sirens, they would have fled. But these men had to murder these beings dealing with the knowledge that they were humanoid. Well, like you had just said, they weren't feeding out of the dumpster. That wasn't where they ended up. There had been numerous livestock and pets.
Right. And then secondly, when you tranquilize something, you got to go by body weight. You overtrank it, you're just going to die. You undertrank it, and then it's like, it's not going to work out. So for one, you have to have a biologist or there that does that. Secondly, it takes a long time for that stuff to kick in. I'll give you an example of that. I followed this when I lived in California. There was somewhere around Camarillo, somebody had spotted a Bengal tiger or some kind of tiger in a residential area. So they, the property authorities responded to it, and then they ended up killing it. And everybody's like, oh, why couldn't they have just tranquilized it? Well, they explained it. For one, there's a school over here. This is a residential area. When you tranquilize something, it's not like it doesn't know. It just gets a dart stuck in it,
Right.
So it's going to react. And the possibility of between the 15 to 20 minutes that the tranquilizer would take effect, in that amount of time, that thing could have mauled and killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first priority is the safety of the public. And, if people have a hard time with something.
No, I agree. I agree. And I'm just going through the questions and statements, but, like this one, I did feel sorry for those creatures immediately. I thought he was getting emotional from compassion, but he didn't say he felt remorse. I was sad for the Sasquatch, and for you people that say they eat humans, well, not all of them do. Well, me and you were talking for a while after and before this whole thing, so we shared a lot of little tidbits with each other. Even if it's a Dogman, Sasquatch, whatever, they're not our friends. They're not cute and cuddly, like the story with the Bengal tiger. They're a wild animal. They are a predator, and the main focus is on the public. Yes. Some 10-year-old little girl rides her bike by that dumpster. You think the Sasquatch is just going to let her ride by? I don't. These things are there. There's numerous accounts of them being just savage animals, So I think that you did the right thing. I disagree with the people going out in the woods and just going and hunting them, just for fun or for sport. But when they come and they invade on encroach on, our cities, our populace, that's when we need to, stop it.
I do believe there's a high level of intelligence with them. This wasn't like it was a particularly hard winter. Why they were there, I don't know. But I have listened to accounts to where these things have been, compassionate. I get that.
Yeah.
But I've also heard plenty where they haven't been.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you got to err on the side of not. You really do. Otherwise, what if somebody gets killed? And to be honest with you, that thing could have turned around and went backwards straight through that fence, and there was houses right there. And to be honest with you, as big as that thing was, I think it could have ran through both sides of that house and we're not even hardly slowed down.
Right.
Now, I don't know if they had, I'm pretty sure, I do remember seeing the one of the cop cars on that back street, and I think they had evacuated some of those people out of those homes. But I think I could be wrong. But it's, say on accounts that I've heard a lot of really savage attack accounts, and people getting torn up. And I've also heard some really heartwarming, compassionate ones.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the percentage is on good to bad, but when it comes to safety, I feel, you gotta err on the worst case scenario and take care of it from there.
Yeah, you've always got to play on caution. I mean, we don't know what they're thinking. We don't know what their reaction is going to be. There is intelligence with these things, but when you corner something like this thing was, it felt cornered. I'm assuming, picking up that garbage can. So
yeah,
when something's cornered, regardless if it's a human, an animal, we react. An animal reacts, and we are animals, so we're going to react as well. A lot of people just completely forget that, hey, we are animals as well, just because we can talk and build houses and shit like that. We still have that primal instinct of being cornered. So
yeah.
I don't know.
There's another part to this to where, our domestic livestock, that's our, each rancher, farmer, that's his way of supporting his family.
Yeah.
And then I think that, and this is just me thinking, I could be way off, I don't know, but kind of how I feel is that if these are that smart, which I believe they are, they know there has to be some inherent risks coming with, I'm going to take some livestock. So I don't know what the full history was. So they may have gotten used to coming in and taking livestock. All right, nobody's doing anything. We're just going to keep doing it. Well, there's repercussions to things that you do. And I think there are some that they'll leave livestock alone because they know it's, hey, don't mess with that. You're going to get the wrath of man coming down at you for it, So they did, as intelligent as I feel they are, I think they probably knew that there was some risk of, I don't know, and I'm just speculating here, but it's, there's, I know down south, I know we rarely, if ever, with cattle had any problems with mountain lions, because I think it's just been so ingrained in their DNA that, don't mess with cattle, the dogs are coming.
Yeah.
I really do, because it was really hard to get into, unless it's an old one. And I only heard of one time in probably 15 to 20 years down south of an old one even coming anywhere near anybody's livestock. And actually the thing had gone into the guy's barn, which was really strange, but it was, it was old.
Yeah.
But as far as free ranging cattle, I mean, even calves, when we'd go check calves, every calf and every cow, when that's your job, every single one of them, when one's missing, and we rarely, I don't remember ever any mountain lion predation problems on our cattle.
Yeah.
So,
but I agree. So,
I could be wrong, but that's just my thought process on it.
So let's check some more. Choo choo. Interview was the best. Moral of the story. Great interview. BLM is a horrible agency. They are catching all the wild horses in Nevada, secretly shopping them in Mexico to make dog food.
If they're secretly doing that, then how do they know?
Yeah.
I'm not defending the BLM. I don't like them either, and I'm not going to sidebar into that. I think they've gotten very extremely overreaching. But
all of these little alphabet agencies have definitely.
Right, but then on the flip, devil's advocate, like I said, I don't like the BLM, but if I know there's a lot of the wild Mustangs in Wyoming, and also know that it's not an indigenous species to North America, and there's a certain amount that they need to eat, to graze on, and then there's wildlife that needs that same stuff too. So if you start getting an overpopulation of these things, I'm going to side on the part of wildlife and do what you can on getting rid of the horses, hopefully adopt them out. But it is a very expensive endeavor to do. And I'm a horseman, so I'm like, don't think that I'm like, oh yeah, just kill horses. No, that's not where I'm coming from. There has to be a sustainable balance. And especially if you get into desert areas, your square mile of land supports less and less ungulates, hoofed animals. Right. So it could get to the point to where even they're starving themselves out. And I tell you what, to see something starve to death, that's not pretty. That's sad.
No, it is. Yeah. And a lot of those, those wild horses, my uncle used to be back in like the 70s and 80s when they, the ranchers that hire people to work on those ranches that existed back then that probably aren't there anymore. But he said that he would come, go out on rides with, the public and stuff, and they'd find living wild horses that were dead or dying of starvation and lack of water and shit like that. I mean, it's sad. This one's a good one, and I want to kind of get when he said it sounded like it was hitting the other one. I couldn't figure out why it would do that. It didn't sound like a reaction I'd expect. I think it was beating its chest like Sasquatch are said to do, a display of aggression or anger. There was a point when you were talking about that when you said it sounded like it was hitting another Sasquatch or another animal that was in there. What do you think that was hitting?
I think it was hitting the other one. Okay. And I think it was because that other one was when I saw the arms reaching out, kind of sliding along the ground. I don't know if that other one was going to crawl out of there. I think it was hitting that other one because it wasn't cool with it. Trying to scoot on out of there. I've heard, and I don't know, I've heard people say, yeah, they'll beat their chest. I don't know what it sounds like when they beat their chest. I know what it sounds like when a gorilla beats his chest, and it's nothing like that.
Okay.
It's not a hard thump. It's like a cupped palm slap, but that's a gorilla, not a Sasquatch. So I don't know. To me, that was more the logical, because it did that when I saw the arms of the other one coming out reaching around the dumpster on the ground. So that was why I equated it to that. Who knows? They could be right. It could have been the other one just beating its chest, but it sounded like that really hollow thud.
Yeah.
Of hitting the body.
Right. I mean, I wasn't there, but I'd have to agree with what you're saying, because I'm trying to really think about the whole setup.
Yeah, and there's a chance that right too. They could have been beating its chest, but that wasn't the way I took it. So that's why. So it's something to think about for sure.
Right. So I think this is pretty much most of the questions. I just want to point out something really quick. When you said there's been many accounts of great interactions and bad interactions. Well, I've heard some great ones where, a little girl was lost and hurt, and the Sasquatch had brought the little girl back to her family. And then there's the one where this is the most violent one that I've ever heard, and it's told many different ways, but I've heard it both from Coonbo and a guy that I know, and Mark, and I shared it with you. And it's that story where supposedly the couple is in Lover's Lane. Well, I'm going to share the whole story so everybody will know actually what happened. So there's a couple in Lover's Lane, and they're doing their business. Apparently some Sasquatch come up on the people. And now everyone thinks that the story goes that they killed the guy and had their way with the woman and killed her. What really happened was that the man was violently taken. They had their way with the man. They had their way with the woman as well. The man died. The woman survived. And that's how we know the story. So, these things are very aggressive, and they're savage. They're not just little cuddly, cute Harry and the Henderson things. And we don't know. We have to err on the side of caution, like Tom has said. And I unfortunately don't think we should go out in the woods hunting them, but what Tom did that night was he inadvertently probably saved a lot of lives by taking that shot. So I agree with you, and I'm on your side on that. So thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that. It was, I can definitely sleep with what I did. The part that just really still had rattled me was just, a monster. That was my realization of knowing that, we're not, I didn't feel that I was as safe as I thought I always was because monsters weren't real.
Right.
That was where I was coming from with that. And, as far as guys going out hunting them, and I've watched some of the shows, the Killing Bigfoot and that, and I think, to be honest, I understand why they're doing it. They want to prove to science, but to be honest with you, if they are successful, I don't think it's going to get far enough to be able to be out into public enough. I think the powers will shut that down pretty quick. And that's just my opinion. I don't think it's a good idea to go out and hunt them just because of, you don't know what you're going to get. I just really think a lot of people don't know what they're up against as far as, if you see one, they're definitely, if they have our, if they're that, I feel that they're very close to being human. They're human hybrids of some. That being said, they definitely have emotions and anger and needs and everything, probably a lot like we do. And one of those is, to be social, to procreate. So I just don't always think if you see one that's the only one.
Yeah, rule of thumb, if there's one, there's more.
Yeah. So
how many animals travel through the woods alone? Some do, but social animals like that, which I believe are as well. They have cognitive skill, like thinking levels, and they obviously, there's rumors that they traveled with the Native Americans over the Bering Strait back in long before, and there was packs with them supposedly. So, they are a pod or tribe like animal. So where there's one, there's always two in my eyes.
Yeah, they're definitely. I believe so too.
And if there isn't, it's good to think that way, though.
Right. Err on the side of caution. So, anyways, that's what else is that? Was there more?
I don't think so. I think if we ever, I'm gonna, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to make the announcement right now. If anyone has any questions for Tom, email them to my email address. It's in the description below. I'll get them all together, and we'll have Tom answer them again. Come on and just do it if you're up for that. That way we can get.
I'd be happy to.
But I did see when I was scrolling through, a young lady said, "Hey, I get a bunch of questions for Tom so we can get the answers." So if you guys have questions, send them to my email, and me and Tom will get together and answer those questions again.
Cool. That sounds good. And like I said, some of my opinion is just my opinion.
Yeah.
And the only value my opinion is to me, and I get that. So differing opinions, I'm not offended by. I understand that. I'm just, I don't mind talking about it a little bit. It's just not something I'm going to debate to try to sway anybody else's opinion.
Yeah, that's not even. We all have our opinions, and that's that. So.
And you know what? To be honest with you, I'm glad to see that society is still compassionate. So I don't take, I'm not offended by the.
So sorry about that, everyone. We got on the call. I got cut off. So Tom, what were you saying?
Anyways, I'm totally on board with if there's any more questions, and to anybody that if we have differing opinions on that, I'm totally fine with it, or my opinion only has value to me, and I'm okay with that. I'm not, I won't get in a lengthy debate on, this or that, as far as moral issues of it. And I respect everybody's opinion, even if it's different than mine. That's fine.
That's how we get, and that's the best part. That's why I love cryptozoology, is because everyone has their different opinion. And if I look at all of them and take a little bit from each that kind of makes sense to me, even if it doesn't agree with mine, something may make sense. We may get the answer. But, when people start pissing on each other because their opinions are different or getting shunned because of it, that's when it's bad. So
we're going to stop learning if we don't keep our mind. And I give a little kudos to Scott Carpenter on that, where he was really good friends with Bobby Short, and he said we had differing opinions, but we always respected each other, and he said we always considered ourselves each other dear friends, and that speaks a lot. Very on some things as far as the roadkill and what. Well, and anyway, so
I agree with it's just I don't agree with what a lot of the people that I talk to think, but we get along and we share information with each other, and I have the utmost respect for a lot of the people that I learn more from them. So
exactly.
We're coming up on time, so
okay.
Is there anything that you'd like to say to everybody before we end the interview?
No, that's about it. I appreciate appreciate the warmness and the dose. That means a lot, and thank you very much. I appreciate the well wishes. It means a lot.
Thank you very much for coming on, Tom, and I'll keep you in the loop on the questions when they come in.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, brother. Well, there you have it. Some questions answered. 3 really good uploads, if you ask me, for a Saturday. Now I've got to jump down into the studio and start recording tomorrow's upload and get ready for the live stream. Once again, I don't have a time for the live stream. I wish I did, but things come up and I don't like having a schedule. So it will be somewhere between 11 and 12:30. With that, my friends, everyone stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, and may the Great Spirit watch out for us all, and may He guide us down that path we call life.